So you're thinking about quitting your job and going full-time on your side business. But is that the right choice? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I quit my job 4 times before I finally got that decision right, and now I run a successful consulting and training company that focuses on management, operations, and business. So in this video, I'm going to share some of my stories with you, then bring them all together to help you decide if it's the right time to quit your job and either start a business for yourself or go full-time into one you already have running. I'm also going to share an alternative to quitting that can help you grow your business even faster. I've personally used this technique to quadruple my income in less than 6 months, and you may be able to do the same thing. And by the way, if you're looking for ideas and concepts that will help you succeed in business, leadership, and management, you might want to subscribe to the channel. If you have specific questions, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer and maybe even make a video on the topic. And don't forget to check the description for free workshops and downloads. Now let's get down to business. There are actually 2 separate decisions when you're considering quitting your job and going full-time into your side business. So let's start with, should you quit your job? If your job makes you unhappy and kills your motivation, then something needs to change for sure. But quitting may or may not be the right answer. When I was trying to start my business for the first time, I was working as an independent contractor, and the organization I was working with had a completely toxic workplace culture. The problem was that when I came home or logged off for the day if I was working remote, I was completely drained and had no energy to grow the business. And you just can't sustain a business if you don't have the time and energy to grow that business while you do whatever it is you need to do to pay the bills. Even though I was making very good money, I knew I couldn't stay. But because the money was so good, I stayed longer than I should have, and I almost rage quit one day. My better judgment got the better of me though, and I went home and slept on it. The next day, I put in my resignation. And when I put in my notice, I could feel the wave of relief wash over me. And I had zero apprehension about the loss of money. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but I was actually able to backfill my position through my company, which allowed me to pay the bills without stressing. But what I didn't have was the money to fund anything extra. I was scared to put any money into anything that didn't have an immediate return on investment, and that kept me from building the presence I needed in my space. I didn't want to take a vacation to rejuvenate myself because I didn't want to run out of money, and that meant I didn't have anything to look forward to. And I even think subconsciously, I started to associate running a business with feelings of fear and stress instead of the joy that I now experience every day. On top of all that, I also didn't have the motivation from a bad job. See, there are 2 types of motivation, toward and away. Away motivation is associated with pain. Toward motivation is associated with pleasure, the carrot and the stick, so to speak. Away motivation, the stick, is typically more intense, but the effects are shorter term. Just like if you stub your toe. The pain is intense for a minute or so, but then it fades away unless your toe is broken or you sustain some other sort of serious injury. But even then, the pain doesn't generally last for more than a few weeks or months. Toward motivation is generally less intense, but it lasts a lot longer. For example, if you really want to go on a big international vacation, you probably aren't going to drop everything and schedule it right this very second. You might spend weeks or months or even years thinking about it and planning it and saving before you finally book that trip. Now, a job you hate is away motivation. The pain can be intense, and it can create the urgency you need to take action right away. Now, that could be quitting your job, or it could be putting all of your extra time and effort into creating and growing your business. It all depends on how you decide to use that discomfort and how much energy you have left over from your day job. Now, we aren't done with the decision on quitting just yet, but since I brought up money, I want to talk about how much money it takes to run a business. If you're running an established company, you should have access to at least 6 months of working capital in case something unexpected happens, like say a major virus breaks out and shuts down the entire world for a few months. But with a new business or a startup, You might need a lot more than that. How much more? Well, the truth is that you don't know, but it's probably more than you think. The trick with starting a new business or a startup is getting the cops to work together. No, not like that. Cops are the 4 elements of a business. Customers, who buys your product. Operations, how you build and deliver your product. Products, what you're selling and how you deliver it. And sales, how customers find and purchase your product. If you think a video on cops or any specific element would be helpful, please let me know in the comments. But for right now, it's just important for you to understand that any successful business has created a harmony between these 4 elements. And if anything is missing, your business will struggle and lose money. Before we put everything together, I want to offer an alternative to quitting. After I had quit my job to build my business a few times, I decided to try another tact. In Be Obsessed or Be Average, Grant Cardone said that he was in a sales job and he hated it. But instead of fighting against it, he decided to make the most of it, and he went all in. He got training, he read everything he could on the subject, and he decided to become the best salesperson at his company. Now Grant is well on his way to becoming a billionaire if he's not there already. All because he shifted his perspective. Instead of focusing on what he hated about his job, he decided to love it, to dominate it, and to make it the source of his success. I decided to take his advice and try the same thing. I was brought in on this contract as an independent consultant and trainer. There were several other people in similar positions on the contract as well. Many of them were also small business owners brought in as trainers. But I asked myself a question that they didn't ask. How can I turn this job into my business? How can I achieve my goals right here where I'm at? And now I have 10 people on my team and my revenue is growing leaps and bounds. Sure, there are parts of what I do that aren't perfect, but I love my job overall and I love the success that I'm achieving. I have the time and money to do things like make these YouTube videos and to develop new products and services like people physics and minimalist management. And I'm working on the business rather than in the business. All because I asked how I could succeed where I was instead of looking for a greener pasture. Now there's a potentially huge advantage to staying where you are because people know you, and creating a channel to reach potential customers is one of the most difficult aspects of building a business. So if you do a great job for the people and the company you're working for, they're more likely to give you business than someone that doesn't know you. And they're more likely to give you business than someone they don't know. So let's put everything together in a simple 3-step decision-making process. Question number 1. Are there potential opportunities for you to build your business at your current job? If you are sure the answer is no, then you should be looking for other options. But if you aren't 100% sure, you may want to explore the opportunities before you leave. Sometimes the options exist, but they just aren't obvious without a bit of creativity and diligence. Now, question number 2. Do you have the energy and motivation to build your business while you're in your current role, or could you change your perspective and regain that energy and motivation? If the answer is no, you should definitely look for other options. And question number 3, do you have the cops in place? And like I explained earlier in the video, cops are the 4 key elements for a successful business. If you don't have the cops figured out, you have an unknown amount of work in front of you, and it's likely that you'll run out of money without an income stream to sustain you and your business. So even if you quit your current job, you'll probably want to find another one to keep you afloat. If you don't find another job, you may end up digging yourself a hole that can take years to get out of and losing your motivation, which can lead to catastrophe. But if you have an existing side business and you already have a consistent and scalable revenue stream, it may be time to take the plunge and go full time. For answers to more questions like this, plus tips and advice on how to succeed in business and management, be sure to check the description and subscribe to the channel.